Hi everyone, my name is Morgan and I am a neuroscience researcher. And welcome to spooky season on this channel. I am very excited about October in case you cannot tell, and I have a lot of really fun spooky neuroscience videos planned, so be sure to check in every Wednesday for those. Before I get started with the video, I would really like to say a huge thank you to all of the new subscribers. Whenever I started these videos, I really thought that this was going to just be like sort of a fun thing for me to do and like share with friends and with the rest of the grad students and stuff, but turns out like people might actually want to see this stuff, so I'll keep making it. I think it's a great time to sort of remind everyone the channel is called Ask a Neuroscientist, so if you have any questions that you want to ask me, you can either leave them in the comments below or you can email them to me here, and I will try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Today is Mental Health Monday on this channel, which is the first Monday of every month. I go over a different concept in mental health from a neuroscientist perspective. So today we are covering why our brains love spooky season. Why do we love being scared? Why are haunted houses awesome? Why do we watch scary movies until 2 a.m.? Why? It makes no sense that humans would love to be scared, because no one, like in real life, whenever you know that there's real danger, being scared is not fun. So why do we love it whenever it's Halloween? Before I get into why we love fear, I'd like to just talk a little bit about what the fear response is, what's happening in your brain and what's happening to the rest of your body. So whenever you get afraid, your amygdala is activated, and your amygdala is this little almond-shaped part of your brain that is typically associated with fear and other emotions. So it's considered to drive a lot of emotions, in particular fear. Your thalamus is also activated, which is associated with a lot of different body movements. So think if you're engaging for your fight or flight, you're going to want to be moving your body one way or another. So your thalamus is engaged. Both of these brain regions start to produce adrenaline and release it into the rest of the brain, which is going to send the signal to the rest of the brain that you're in fight or flight mode, that you are trying to either run away from something or you're trying to engage it in battle. So your body can prepare for that. The adrenaline dilates your pupils so that you can see better. And then the amygdala and the thalamus also both start releasing norepinephrine, which increases your heart rate so that your blood is pumping more. And it also dilates your blood vessels in some areas and constricts them in others to send more blood to your extremities, like your arms and your legs, so that your muscles are better equipped to run faster or to punch harder or whatever you are trying to do. Your breathing also speeds up, which helps your brain and the rest of your body get more oxygen so that your muscles are more ready to, again, run, fight, whatever. There's also a lot of glucose that's released into your bloodstream, which is there as sort of food for your muscles. That way, again, run, fight, whatever you're trying to do to escape this dangerous situation. And then at the end of the dangerous situation, whenever you've finally escaped, you've found a safe hiding spot, you fought your way through it, and now the thing is no longer a threat, your brain gets a nice little hit of dopamine, which dopamine is considered to be sort of like a happy hormone. It makes you feel really good, and it's also really important in the learning process. So people think the reason why we get this hit of dopamine after escaping fear is because if every time you learn something new or you do something new, you get a little hit of dopamine, you'll associate that with good things. And so this is sort of how we learn that escaping danger is good. We don't want to be in danger. If we escape it, that's good, because then we survive for longer. It seems really intuitive, like, yes, obviously you want to escape danger, but if you didn't have this whole fear response, then maybe we wouldn't have the desire to escape danger. So also what's happening to you psychologically, like why do we want to go to haunted houses? There was actually someone at the University of Pittsburgh who did a study on haunted houses to see why people love going to them. Now, everything that I'm about to say, it's really important that all of these participants were 100% willing. They were people who already went to haunted houses. And something that's really key in this whole psychological response is that you are someone who enjoys going to haunted houses, because there are people who don't enjoy the whole month of October and people who don't enjoy being afraid and don't enjoy like scary movies. And if you unwillingly subject them to those things, they're not going to have the same response, because it's not going to be a danger that is fake. To them, it's going to be a danger that is real. And so don't do this to your friends if your friends don't enjoy these things. But if you and your friends love haunted houses, you love scary movies, this is why. So this researcher put people who were already planning on going to a haunted house into what they called an extreme haunted house designed to evoke peak fear response. So they made this haunted house as scary as humanly possible, but also the participants still knew that it was just a haunted house, like it was just fake, it wasn't real. So then the participants went through the haunted house while wearing monitors on their head so that they could monitor brain activity while they were going through the haunted house. 50% of the participants reported feeling in a better mood after coming out of the haunted house than they had before entering the haunted house, which is really important. The researchers believe that this is due to something called a pain offset, which is like if you aren't having a super great day and then someone does something to put you in a lot of pain and then that pain is taken away, you're gonna feel like you're in a better mood than you were beforehand because you're just so happy that that pain was taken away. So same thing with fear. If someone puts you in a scary situation and then that scary situation is taken away, you're going to feel a lot better because you survived through the scary situation. Some of the research also indicated that being afraid kind of disrupts your brain's thinking because you're so focused on escaping whatever the dangerous task is. You're not thinking about what you're going to have for dinner or what's going on in the world right now. You're just focused on escaping. And so not thinking like that much also tends to improve your mood. If you don't have to worry about other things, you feel a lot better. But the researchers made it clear that this doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. Disrupting your brain activity isn't always bad. It had a similar effect to meditation. So you go through a haunted house, similar to doing some deep breathing exercises. After you get out, you feel calmer, not disrupt your brain activity in a negative way, in more of a positive, I don't have to think about the world type of way. So like I said, all of this was done on totally willing participants. The researchers made it extremely clear that if someone does not want to be in that situation, this would not have the same results if someone was forced to go to a haunted house. Also, it's important to note for this entire video that haunted houses and scary movies and all of those things, being afraid for fun, only works if we know that we're in a safe environment. So don't try to extrapolate this to people who get kidnapped or mugged or something. It's not the same because they don't know that they're in a safe environment. Or if you just kidnap someone on the street for a prank, they don't know that it's fake, then it's not the same thing because they have to know that they are safe while they're being scared. So why do we like being scared? It, again, makes no sense that we would seek out danger. One thing that a lot of psychologists believe is that we enjoy the novelty of fear. If you think about it, our everyday life is pretty mundane. It's pretty boring. Nothing super new happens to us usually. Maybe a coworker got a new haircut, but not much more than that happens. So we want new experiences, and one new experience is to be afraid. Now, that's not to discredit people who do have to live in fear. I am so sorry for your situation. I hope that you get help. But the majority of us don't live like that. So we like being afraid. And people who do have to live in fear for various reasons probably aren't going to enjoy being as afraid as much because it's not a new experience to them. Another reason why we might like being afraid is because of, like I said earlier, that dopamine hit. We are, as human beings, constantly seeking out dopamine, pretty much. We just want more of it, and so if being afraid and then escaping the fear gets us a nice hit of dopamine, we will go for that. And actually, researchers suggest that this tendency to seek after this dopamine response is actually a lot stronger in children because children don't necessarily know that a haunted house isn't real. Even if you tell them that a haunted house isn't real, kids don't really process that the same way that adults do. And so that dopamine hit for them afterwards is a lot stronger because in their head, they just escaped a really dangerous situation. And also, like I said earlier, this dopamine hit is people's way of learning. Humans learn a lot of things through fear. If you just think back to whenever you were little and your parents were don't touch a hot stove because it'll burn you, not that's scary. Or even like if you go further back, hopefully no one in modern day has had this happen, but if you go like further back in time, people used to tell their children these awful, scary stories to like scare them into behaving correctly. And that's because we learn really well through fear. So humans learn through fear. So like for our brain, this dangerous situation is kind of a new chance to learn something, like learn how to escape a situation. One thing about specifically scary movies and scary stories is also that scary movies tend to express our collective anxieties, like what we as human beings, all of us, are very afraid of. Or sometimes they're a bit more specific to your country, but they express what a large group of people are afraid of. So seeing a scary movie where the main characters win is going to make you really happy because you are seeing someone overcome your worst anxieties. And so then you feel like you can also do that. And or if you see a movie where the main characters don't win, maybe everyone dies at the end, you still have sort of collectively as a movie audience bonded through still all being afraid of the same thing. So either way, it's still kind of a positive experience because you've addressed a collective anxiety and either overcome it or seen that other people have it too, and that comforts. And the last reason why we think that humans really enjoy being scared is because fear brings us together as people. You may have heard before that people who go through a traumatic event together end up way closer to each other afterwards, which is true. And to a lesser extent, that also happens whenever you go through a haunted house or you go see a scary movie. I mean, to a way lesser extent, like I am not comparing a haunted house to a actual traumatic event, but it is true that whenever we are all scared together collectively, that does bring us closer, and humans tend to work together more whenever they're going through a trauma or a scary situation. Both whenever we are afraid and also whenever we escape our scary situation, your brain releases oxytocin, which is commonly known as the love hormone. That's not an entirely correct term, but we'll stick with it for the purpose of this. You have escaped a scary situation. You are now releasing happy chemicals in your brain, and you're releasing chemicals that bond us together. So whoever you're around, wherever you're releasing those chemicals, you're going to feel closer to. You're going to feel more bonded to that person. Also, we tend to feel closer to people that we have had good experiences with. Obviously, if someone's really mean and rude to you, you're not going to want to associate with them. And if someone is super nice and you've had a super positive experience, you're going to want to hang out with them more. So that goes for being afraid too. What could possibly be a happier situation than escaping a dangerous situation together? So that will also bring you closer together. So a cheesy joke that I think every psychology professor has ever made ever is, if you really want your significant other to be your partner forever, go and do scary things with them. So that's great. Humans enjoy being afraid. We like being scared. We like haunted houses. What if you're not someone who likes being scared? Or what if you're someone who maybe loves watching scary movies, but then late at night you stay up thinking maybe there is a zombie apocalypse on the horizon and maybe they are coming to get you and maybe you won't survive that. I'm not saying that's ever happened to me, except it definitely has. So how do we deal with those situations? Some psychologists actually argue that the part of us that stays awake being afraid after a scary movie is the last phase of the fear response. Your brain needs to process what happened to you and how real the threat actually was and what you would do if that threat was real. So whenever you stay awake thinking, what would I do if I had a murderer in my shower? How would I handle that situation? That's your brain preparing you for if that situation does happen. Which doesn't help anything because the likelihood of a murderer waiting for you in your shower is pretty low. And staying awake at night thinking about these things is not actually good for your mental health. So psychologists argue that one of the best ways to deal with this situation is actually to write down your fears. So take a piece of paper, write down, I am afraid that an axe murderer is going to catch me in the shower. Then logically look at that and think, what are the odds that there's an axe murderer in my city? What is the odds that there's an axe murderer that can get into my apartment? What is the odds that I won't hear them while I'm in the shower? And so on. You realize how irrational that fear is, and you realize that it's not likely to happen, and then maybe you can stop thinking about it. Like I said earlier, another part of the fear response is that your brain releases adrenaline. And so if your brain is releasing adrenaline, that's going to keep you awake also. One of the best ways to run off this excess adrenaline is to run. Go do an exercise of some sort just to burn off all of that extra energy, and then you should be fine. Another thing that's recommended is mindfulness or breathing exercises. So sit there and just focus on your breathing. Take a deep breath in for 5 seconds through your nose and out for 5 seconds through your mouth. And just do that for a couple of minutes. Focus only on your breathing. It helps me if I put like a little bit of music on, so maybe there's something to distract just a tiny bit, and just sit there and calm down. This mindfulness breathing sort of tricks your brain into thinking that you are calm. Like I said earlier, whenever you're afraid, your breathing speeds up. So if you're calm, you slow your breathing down because you don't need all of that extra oxygen going to all of your body parts so you can run. So if you're breathing slowly, it sort of reverses everything and tricks your brain into thinking, okay, well, we're breathing slow, we're not running, I think we're okay, I don't think we're in danger anymore. So just practice some breathing exercises. It will help. One great way to cope with the fear after watching a scary movie is just to distract yourself. Watch a comedy. You just need something to like break up that time in between the scary movie and being asleep. So if you watch something that absolutely terrifies you, watch something that consistently makes you laugh, like The Office. It's a great buffer between a scary movie and sleep time. And then lastly, one of the best ways to cope with scary situations in general all the time is to hang out with friends. Humans are extremely social creatures, and if we can have another person to sort of lean on in these situations, that really helps everything. Also, if you go through, say, like a haunted house with a friend or with multiple friends, we always feel safer in a group. So it sort of reinforces that, oh, these things are scary, but I am technically in a safe place and I am not in harm's way at all. And if I were in harm's way, my friends would protect me. So go do these fun Halloween events with your friends. Also, wear a mask. If you're going to go and do any Halloween things, please wear a mask. So that's the end of this first video during spooky season. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Like I said, I have a lot of fun, really spooky things planned for the rest of the month, so be sure to check in every Wednesday for those. You can follow me on social media at these handles, and you can also email me video suggestions, video topics, anything that you would like to see from this channel at this email address. As always, I'll be linking all of the sources that I use down below, so if you want to do some research on your own, learn some more about spooky season, go for it. Bye.